Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Doing all right.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
I love it.
You?
Love it. I'm doing
You're
great.
doing great?
I'm doing great. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we're about to get normal.
That's right.
So we are smoking today some peanut butter breath that was grown by Big Earl himself. So everybody out there in the world, hope you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman's going to light that bowl up while I talk a little bit about peanut butter breath. Peanut butter breath is a 50-50. Is a rarely evenly balanced hybrid created through crossing Do-si-Do's and Mendo Breath F2 strains. With this bud, the name says it all. The flavor is nutty and earthy with a rich herbal overtone. The aroma follows the same profile with the earthy herbal overtones that are accented by rich nuttiness. Sounds like me, nuttiness. As soon as you exhale, the effects of peanut butter breath will sink in. Mrs. Weedman's feeling that sinking in right now. Starting with a cerebral lift before spreading through the rest of your body in tingly waves of energy. Ooh. These tingles start in the back of your neck and spine before spreading their buzzing tendrils throughout the entirety of your body, leaving you hopelessly relaxed, kicking back without care in the world. That is until the munchies hit. Mrs. Weedman's favorite. But be sure to have some snacks on hand since you won't really be able to get up off the couch to hunt for this at any point. Looks like I'm going snack hunting for Mrs. Weedman. With these long-lasting effects and its high, it ranges between 18 to 28% average THC level, but PBB, peanut butter breath, is often chosen to treat conditions such as appetite loss, nausea, depression, chronic stress, or chronic pain. This bud has a long grape-shaped olive green nugs. Oh, yeah, it did.
Yep.
And does, with bright orange hairs and coating of thick, frosty, white-purple tinted crystal trichomes. So, some of the effects are body high, cerebral, hungry, relaxing, uplifting, chronic pain, depression, loss of appetite, nausea, and stress, herbal, pine, and woody for the flavors. Aromas are earthy, herbal, pine, pungent, and woody. And that is peanut butter breath grown by our friend Big Earl. I'm going to rip this bowl real quick, and Mrs. Weedman's going to say hello.
Hello, everybody. I just had a couple nice hits off of that steamroller, and I could taste some piney herbal, definitely, and maybe gassy, but the description didn't say anything about it being gassy. No. I'm still trying to learn about the whole gassy
don't forget,
thing.
though.
I never really paid attention to it before.
Some strains are a little bit different when they're grown. Not everybody, it's all always the same. So, I mean, some people grow and it might come out gassy versus somebody else who grew it that might not be so gassy but might have this instead. So, I would say this has got a nice earthy flavor.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm looking forward to this high. We've smoked this before, but not on the show. I actually smoked it on the Grow Hour show with Big Earl. I think the first weekend we had it. So, but it's a good strain. I'm looking forward to feeling the effects and watching Mrs. Weedman devour a bag of Doritos later.
No, I'm into chocolate this week.
Chocolate.
I bought a bag, like a Halloween bag of it was a caramel mix. It had Payday, or it has, because there's still some left, Paydays, Rolos, a Take 5, which I've underrated for a very long time.
I ate 2 yesterday, or when you got home with them, and I haven't had a Take 5 in forever, and I forgot how good they were.
Oh, I might eat 5 because it says Take 5. It may have happened once. And Milk Duds.
Milk Duds.
So it's a good mix.
For you,
so I've got like a jar on the kitchen island staring at me. I've been overindulging.
Oh, shit. I do love
good.
good chocolate, but on the weekends, so.
Mr. Weedman is so full of self-control.
I cooked a good shrimp scampi tonight.
Yeah, he did.
I did.
He did.
We bought a kit.
We're not saying the name because the company bites.
Yes, but
it's a meal kit that came to our house.
It wasn't bad though.
It was decent.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for
good cooking.
For kit scampi, I guess you want to call it. Scampi kit.
Scampi kit.
We had a good weekend. I don't know if you would call it a good weekend or a very stony baloney weekend. So, Mr. Weedman had about almost 3 ounces of bud that were mids that low level buds that I on my last grow that they've been curing beautifully for the last 10 weeks. And I wanted to make some butter and use it. So decided to make some butter, and I didn't use any sugar leaf. Sometimes I add sugar leaf and stuff like that too. I didn't use any sugar leaf. I used almost the 3 ounces of flour. It was all beautiful, all buds, crystally as hell, flavorful, and just, oh my gosh, it was great. We were smelling it, and when we decarbed it, the whole house smelled. But I used 3 ounces, and I used ghee, and I used coconut oil. I always mix the two now, and the better, higher fat content. So I decarbed it at 240 for about 40 minutes. That's a little bit longer than I normally go. I usually go about 30, 35 minutes, but I went 40 minutes. So I decarbed it a little bit longer.
For anyone who hasn't made edibles before or used cannabis, you have to decarb it. And that's a process of heating the cannabis so that the THC comes out.
Gets burned out, and the THC turns into THC.
Right.
So you're getting just pure THC.
If you bake with just straight flour without decarbing it, you're still going to have some effect.
Yeah,
but
of course.
you're going to get a much better result if you decarb it. So it's a low temperature oven for 10, 20 minutes.
No. Average you should do about 30, 35. But you can go a little longer. I went 240 for 40 minutes.
Okay. And then we put it into
Then you
got
to cool it for till it gets to less than room. You can put it in the fridge. Either way, I just let it sit out and cool until it's totally cool. So, and then you add it all to the machine we use, right?
Yep, magic butter.
We've been using it since friggin' 2015, 2016.
What's the other? There's like a Evo machine. There's a few different ones, but we've been using magic butter.
Magic butter, I love it. How many? I used 2 jars. How big are those jars? Are they 28?
Those are 16-ounce jars.
So 2 16-ounce jars to almost 3 ounces of flour.
Yeah.
So we made it. The butter came out absolutely gorgeous. Like the color green you want with butter. So it was perfect. So I had about 3.5, maybe about 3 tablespoons of butter left. I think so. Maybe a little more.
No, I think it was I think it was like a tablespoon and a half.
No. It was probably like 3.
It wasn't more than 2.
No, okay. So let's just say 2. 2 tablespoons of butter. I said, let's make popcorn with this. Sounds fantastic. We'll have some popcorn and we'll watch a movie. I've been wanting to watch the new Brad Pitt movie, Babylon. We'll get into that in a second. So we started eating the popcorn. We made a nice size bowl. Mrs. Weeman put the butter all over it, mixed it up well. I was already a little stony, but I wanted some popcorn, and I was devouring. It was perfectly salt and peppered, and you could taste the canna oil on there, the canna butter on there, and I'm just going to town. I almost ate you ate quarter of it. I think I ate the rest. So then we turned the movie Babylon on. Now, before I go into the edible high, let's talk about Babylon for a second, right? Phenomenal movie.
That was self-control, Mr. Weedman.
Phenomenal movie. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. I have been for a long time. It was about set back in the 1920s during the silent picture films. And the first 15 minutes of that movie starts off in a mansion in a 1920s rip-roaring party, but it wasn't the kind of party you're thinking about. It was a pure party.
It was
drugs,
like a big orgy.
sex,
It was
jazz,
wild.
alcohol, just the 1920s elite partying their asses off.
Like a Hollywood elite.
Yes.
Because they were in
They're in Hollywood.
The foothills of Hollywood.
Yeah, they were in the. I mean, this is 1926. The movie started taking place, and so there's just dirt roads. And I'm not going to tell you more about some of the scenes. You have to see this movie. It's that
great.
good. And so we get through the first 15 minutes, and then it gets into like this real deep stuff for a while, and it's really good about the whole movie scene, the 1920s, like when they were doing. There was no sound. You should hear. I mean, it was craziness. People getting killed on sets. They were hiring like street people. It was well done.
Wild,
right? All of a sudden, we're in a real serious fucking part of the movie, and all of a sudden, the TV turned into a 3D movie on me. Every character was coming out at me. It was like I was wearing 3D glasses. I look over at Mrs. Weedman. I said, "You feeling this yet?" You're like, "Nah, I'm not feeling nothing." I said, "Get ready. I am fucking
You really were
tripping balls right now. Like high, like this is gonna be a long ride. Like
I think you even said like this isn't gonna be good.
This is not. Yeah, this is gonna be a doozy of a high.
It was like a uh-oh.
This movie, I do not suggest watching as high as I was, because it'll fuck your head up. It was that good. of like a mind-bending movie to where you have to pay attention. And when you're that as high as I was, it was hard to like, because I got sketched out at one point in that movie. I was like, whoa, this is talking to me right now. And the people, I mean, there was people's fists, like hands and gun. It was, please just watch this movie. Watch it high. You have to because it's that good. Just don't be as high. Now, how high were you when it finally kicked in?
So when it finally kicked in, I couldn't remember what I was watching. Be like, wait a minute, what is this story about? Because, you know, like a movie always veers off. You've got this character, and then like, now all of a sudden you're like in the story of this character growing up, and then it comes back to the whatever the real situation of the storyline.
Yeah.
And then it goes off on another character's back life. And every time it did that, I thought I was watching a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
I could not keep track. And I'm like, wait, what is this? I had to keep reminding myself, what is this movie about? I don't even know what I'm watching right now.
And I was entrenched in this movie. I was so...
But it was great. And then I'd get my brain back. But I was pretty...
Oh.
Yeah.
So...
It was rough.
The movie was... So we get to... It's a 3-hour and 10-minute movie. It's long. And we started that movie at 10:30. Yeah, way too late. Like 10:30, 10:45. It's now 1:45 and I'm zooted. And there's 16 minutes left in that movie, and I'm like, I gotta go up to bed right now. Yeah. Like, let's go. There's 16 minutes left. We'll watch it tomorrow. I need to get into bed and crawl under some covers because I am absolutely just so zooted right now. I cannot think straight. I can't function. I can't even concentrate on anything right now. I need to just crawl in bed with you and Yuki. And I don't even care. I don't even want to brush my teeth. I don't even turn on water. Nothing. We went up. You're like trying to fix the basement. I'm like, just tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I kept like trying to clean everything up and then put all blankets away. And
it was crazy. Then I come downstairs because you forgot something. And I came downstairs and started doing dishes. And it's 2:00 in the morning. And you had to be up to an appointment at 9:30 a.m.
I had to be out of the house.
And it was now after 2:00 in the morning. You're screaming at me, not screaming. You're calling down to me, going, "Come to bed. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm washing Yuki's dish."
I kept thinking you were gonna die because you're like, "I'm really, really high." I'm like, "Are you all right? Where are you?"
I felt like I was like on 50 milligrams of edibles.
I thought.
And I've never taken 50 at once.
I definitely felt more high than maybe the skunk bus was, but the skunk bus I was gradually, like, you're just smoking throughout the day all day long, and there were no edibles. It was all smoke, and which is a really different feeling.
Yeah, you didn't take an edible that day. But you didn't take one.
I've never taken that quantity of edible at one time.
No. We've done 20 in a day.
Yeah, or like the Christmas parties from, in the beer industry. Yeah. You're kind of eating a little bit here, a little bit there.
So you're taking maybe 20 throughout the whole entire time, but not...
This was like a 30, 40, 50. Yeah, it was definitely... It was bad.
All I have to say is this. I have not been that high in a very long time to where I was at the point where I couldn't move my body when we were in bed.
I couldn't sleep.
I couldn't move.
I was wide awake.
I needed to move my arm, and I had to I couldn't move anything. And I was like, ugh. So you get up. I don't know how you did it. You had 3 appointments that day, and you went and did it. And I'm like, oh boy, I feel bad.
It was bad.
I get to take Yuki out. The sun is so shiny and bright. It's beautiful out. It would have been a beautiful, gorgeous day to do something, and I can't. I'm basically walking like my legs are broken.
Yeah, my legs felt like rubber bands.
They were like wobbly when I first. This was at like right when you left. I woke up and took her out, so it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and my legs are shaking. But I'm walking her to the corner where she likes to go to the bathroom, and like literally, like I probably could have used crutches to get me back to the house.
I had to like rally myself in the mirror. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You're good. You're good. You got this. You got this. No, really, you got it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back to bed. No, you got this.
So you're pumping yourself up. I'm dying. I go sit on the couch, and I wind up just slumping. And Yuki's in her bed next to the couch, and I'm just there, and I can't move. Yeah. You know what time I finally? You called me.
I was nauseous.
You called me, and I answered. Didn't want to, but I did. And I talked to you for like 10 minutes, and you're dying. I'm dying. Then you hang up, and 10 minutes later, O-Dog calls me, and she said that, what are you saying right now? I can't understand.
You were jibber-jabbering.
I was slurring. I was literally like slurring my words and literally fumbling at what. And O-Dog calls me, and she goes, I can't understand a word you're saying right now. What is wrong with you? How stoned are you right now? And I said, I don't remember how high I was.
Yeah, it was almost like it just kept hitting us. Like I'd be good
waves.
for a while. I'd be good for maybe an hour, and then I'd get this 10 or 15-minute wave of like, oh crap, I'm freaking stoned right now. And my eyes were all bloodshot in the morning. I looked like a wreck. I couldn't, honestly, when I was with my clients, I was embarrassed because I knew that I looked like I was high. And I was. And I couldn't talk. I was still so high that words were not getting together, or I was kind of talking like slow motion and like slurring. Everything was just.
How was the paranoia? How was
shopping.
your anxiety when you went to the grocery store? Because you went grocery shopping too, because we needed food.
Yeah, I don't even remember it.
That's
I
good.
couldn't remember the house.
That's
kind
good.
of.
Because then you dropped the groceries off,
and
and
I
I had to put them away, and I was so confused.
It was also
for a moment.
It was too much. It was too much. So. This is a good lesson though, because you think, hey, they're experienced cannabis users. They've been using this for years and years and years. Mr. Weedman consistently for so many years. I'm consistent for 10, 12 years now.
12 years now.
I mean, we are regular cannabis users every day. I don't know a day that I don't use it. And we overconsumed.
Yep.
And it is a shit show. And it's not fun. And you just want it to end. And we had CBD in the house. I don't know why we didn't smoke it, but I don't know. We just wrote it out.
I didn't want anything.
We just wrote it out.
The only thing I could put in my body was water, and I hardly can get that like in my mouth.
Right.
I didn't start feeling like the high was coming down until I woke up Monday morning, like it was finally going away.
Over 24 hours.
That was. I mean, for a patient that needs that kind of medication, I'd be happy to give them some of this butter and pour it on some popcorn.
It's because of the good fats that were used. It helped.
But we used nothing. We didn't use any we didn't use any shake. We didn't use any leaves. I used straight bud, decarbed it for 40 minutes, which I very rarely do. I think I've only done that one other time. Decarbed it even more than normal. And then the way the butter with the ghee and the coconut oil absorption, with the sunflower lecithin and all that stuff with the binding, this butter
it was good.
Is delicious. I need to now know, like when we make our regular edibles, how much to truly we're going to use on this.
Well, we ate the whole bowl of butter, thinking, "Oh, we'll be fine."
We did.
We just really miscalculated. So, anyone who has consumed recently for the first time, or you're in your beginning stages of consumption, and you don't really know what it feels like, you have not clearly identified what being high feels like and how that translates within your body and the way that you behave and the way that you could talk and think. And I mean, it is a learning curve.
Yep.
And so here we, very experienced, overconsumed. Anyone can do it. And you know what? Don't give up. Because I hear a lot of people that they're like, oh, I got sick on it one time. I'm never doing it again. Give it another try. Go low. Go slow.
Start low, go slow.
Start with flower. Have a joint. If you don't like it, it's gone in 45 minutes. That is my end-all, be-all suggestion for any beginner. I know everybody doesn't want to smoke, but honestly, I just think it's the most controlled way to consume and the best way for a new consumer to get familiar with the feeling, because it's here and it's gone.
Yeah, because if you take an edible and you take like a 10 milligram and you ain't used to it, or if someone gives you an edible,
it's there for 6 hours.
And you eat that whole thing,
you're dealing with it.
Once it gets into your liver and goes through your bloodstream and transfers,
you gotta ride it out.
You're gonna be riding out for at least 6 hours, maybe 10, depending on how your body.
And we hated it, and we know what we're doing. So if you don't understand the feelings that you're going through, like that's the people that end up in the emergency room because they think they're dying, right?
Yep, 100%.
So you're not gonna die. Go to bed and try again. Yeah. Give it a couple days rest and try again.
I mean, we've talked about this so many times about edibles, and it happens to even people that consume every day. Yep. So just know that we're the same as everybody else. You overconsume, you're going to get fucked up. So
it'll go away.
Speaking of that, of the F-bomb, I posted something on my Instagram today, and I thought it was pretty funny. And it's from the Squid Games, and it said, for your next game, you must successfully work an entire shift without saying the word fuck. Good luck. And I posted, I fail on this big time, every podcast we do, I say I'm not going to F-bomb, then I get stoned and I start F-bombing. So I listened to episode 138 just to review it, and I think I said the F word like 36 times.
Oh.
In an hour and 15 minutes. So first and foremost, I do use the F-bomb, or I don't F-bomb it at all. It's just in my conversation. So first, if you're offended, I apologize for all the past episodes that I've used the F-bomb way too much. So I apologize. Don't stop listening. I'm going to try to get better. I can't promise anything because when I get higher, I get more F's out. So, and Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics, he wrote all the comics and created all the characters. At 98 years old, he did one of his last videos in a cartoon style saying he wanted to make sure the word fuck is in the dictionary as an everyday usable word because it's the word you can use with every sentence. Every sentence. Try it. It's a great word. And I don't get offended by it when people use it at all. So unless they're telling me to go F myself, then maybe a little bit. But everything else about the F word is amazing. So I apologize. Another thing too is I posted something about this came out of 5 different articles that I found about THC gummies sold at Montgomery County tobacco stores test positive for heroin and fentanyl. First and foremost, I want to apologize because I should have made it clear in my caption that it was Delta 8 THC gummies. So it wasn't Delta 9 THC gummies that you buy at a dispensary. It was bought at a smoke shop, a head shop. And I've done many articles and I've did many, the snake oil salesman. And my preface to that post was to always check to see if it's been tested and it's regulated in your state, and that product you're buying from a head shop or from a smoke shop or a gas station has been tested by a legal testing facility. That was my point where I was getting at. It wasn't about it being a fake article. It wasn't about I took it off of Fox, not Fox News, but Fox News Station in PA. So, and there was 4 other articles with that as being the 5th one on there. And it's the DA talking about they found heroin and fentanyl and Delta 8 THC gummies bought at a smoke shop. Don't use this brand. Here, the packaging, if it's been tested, it would have a QR code or a label saying it's been quality tested by this company. Remember that. So when you're going to these head shops, I'm not dissing them. I'm glad they're allowed to sell CBD products derived, Delta 8 and all of them. So I'm happy for them. It gives them a playing field to sell something that. But the thing is, where are you getting this from? Is it quality? Did something happen with it? Did this get tainted with something? There's a lot of shit coming into this country right now. We don't know where it's coming from. So reputable sources. Make sure it's quality tested. And we spent 23 minutes on a story about a movie and getting edible high. It was amazing. So we might cut it a little short, might make it a little longer. Stay with us. I'm pretty baked, but this one's about early career mentorship in the cannabis and beyond. So here's what I'm going to talk about when it comes to mentorship. When you mentor people in life, you're guiding, coaching them to move forward and get better. And you might only be a mentor a short period of time in their life. It might be for a year. It might be for a day. It could be for 10 years. It could be, you might find a mentor for life, a coach and a guide. In these cannabis fields, we talked about this on the last episode, and I also want to apologize by my outburst of how upset I was about people getting laid off. Apologize about that too, because I threw, I think, like 10 F-bombs in the row on the end of that and got mad because I hate seeing people lose jobs and have to now struggle. So, but this mentorship that they need to understand in cannabis is instilling good programming and good ways for them to grow in the cannabis industry, because there is a lot of stigma still when they leave something else that was not stigmatized or looked at. They come to cannabis and their family might shun them. There's people at their church that might shun them. There's people in just life that might not want to talk to them anymore because they sell something that they were taught that was wrong throughout their whole life. So first and foremost, you have to coach them on making sure that they can get through that and how to get through it. Also, when it comes to jobs, if someone comes in and starts as a bud tender, and of course everybody wants to make more money in life. Everybody, okay? It's hard to survive on $15 to $18 an hour nowadays. So to get them to understand, one, we should pay them more, like I said in the last episode, 100%. But also a lot of them maybe they love being a bud tender, but the only reason why they want to move up is so they can make more money, but it's not actually the job they want to do. But the only way they can do it, if they want to do it, is because they want to make more money. So if you pay them handsomely, they will work harder and stay as a bud tender, and you won't lose people as much. So if you navigate that problem and pay them better, or make sure they understand the process of them moving up in levels of the company too. Explain that, hey, this might take 2 or 3 years, and you know what? They might get upset and they might not want to take the job or work there, but that saves you time also, and then time also to go find something different. And you actually hiring, training, and putting a lot of hours into them, and then they just leave 2 months later, and you just invested all this time and money into them. So if you're upfront with them from the beginning, I think they'll understand better, and let them know that cannabis isn't a cushy job, and provide good learning and resources for your employees at cultivation, at dispensaries, at wherever in life, but provide them with learning tools to help them get better at their trade. Offer them, I wish companies offered me Excel courses and PowerPoint courses where I didn't have to pay for it at school. Some companies did, but it wasn't with an experienced teacher. Even though they knew what they were doing, they just took another employee to teach us, and not everybody can teach. That's another thing too. Not everybody can teach well, and it's hard. So ensuring that executives will pave the way for the next career paths of generations to come. You executives are looked at because you're the CEO or higher ups in the company, and these people maybe want to become what you are. Maybe they want to own their own company. Help them do that. Don't take that away from them. If that's what they truly want to do, show them, guide them. They could be the next company, and they learn from you, and you could teach them how to go own their own company one day, and they can start something cool for themselves and the people they love and care for, and hire new people and do the mentorship program you taught them. And that's how we're going to keep generation of jobs and keeping this industry whole and safe. So I'm going to move on before I get emotional and start throwing F-bombs. Antibiotics and cannabis.
Yep.
Can or can't we, or what do we do? I like this strain. This is a good strain. We might smoke this strain.
Making you chill.
Yeah, we might smoke this strain maybe like 10 more times on the show. Thank you, Earl.
Why, it's keeping you mellow?
No, I just, it's a good strain.
Like it?
This is a nice strain. Yeah.
Good. I do too. Cannabis and antibiotics. What is the deal? Can you smoke pot while you're using them? This article was written by Kiara C. So here I am, like trying to quote the authors, but their name isn't even listed. Anyway, thanks, Kiara. Experts weigh in on this question of whether or not it's okay to indulge in cannabis while on antibiotics. As we all know, alcohol consumption is a no-no while on medication. But what about cannabis use? It is crucial to be mindful of drug interactions. There's a need to be vigilant of your consumption when taking medication. Combining certain substances can result in adverse reactions or heightened effects. Fighting bacterial infections requires antibiotics, but the prescriptions often come with strict guidelines. A crucial yet often overlooked question remains: is it safe to spark up? Well, Canada's Medicinal Cannabis Resource Centre Incorporated, Terry Roycroft, is the Canadian expert on the matter and can answer the burning question. With over a decade of research and study on weed, Roycroft and the MCRCI team work closely with doctors who specialize in the medical use of cannabis. Fortunately, according to the expert, smoking cannabis while on antibiotics may not be as harmful as previously believed. Antibiotics are a go-to for combating bacterial diseases, either by eliminating the bacteria or hindering its expansion. Unfortunately, some bacteria have developed antibiotic immunity, making treatment more challenging. As for using cannabis while on these antibiotics, it's not a straightforward answer. Due to the federal ban on weed, thorough studies examining the interaction between antibiotics and cannabis are limited, making it difficult to determine their effects together. As Roycroft explains, everyday substances can interact with medication, citing caffeine as an example, with 82 recorded interactions, some of which are moderate to severe. The UK's National Health Service advises caution while consuming alcohol on antibiotics, with only 2 medications, metronidazole and tinidazole, requiring complete abstinence from alcohol. Even seemingly harmless fruits like grapefruit can negatively interact with antibiotics and other medications. Grapefruit's impact on drug metabolism, including antibiotics used to treat infection, led experts to use it as a benchmark for studying the interaction of cannabis. Roycroft notes that this fruit can interfere with the effectiveness of several medications. Contrary to popular belief, cannabis has very few interactions with antibiotics, says Roycroft. The few interactions that have been identified are mild, and doctors are even exploring the possibility of enhancing the efficacy of antibiotics with the addition of cannabis. How about that? Could you imagine if you'd have to take less medication because if you consumed cannabis, it increases the effectiveness? That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Roycroft shares how combining cannabis and antibiotics can lead to positive results. When treating patients on pain medication, the introduction of cannabis often halves the dose of antibiotics while achieving the same benefits and reaction as with the total quantity. While interactions between antibiotics and cannabis are mild, they can still be felt by those who choose to mix the two. Jessie Gill, a medical nurse specializing in medical marijuana, warns that some macrolide antibiotics may interact with cannabis. In Gill's words on Quora, marijuana inhibits a special enzyme in the liver, cytochrome P450. This enzyme is used by many medications, including some antibiotics, meaning the effect of the medication will be increased and the risk of experiencing side effects and adverse reactions will be higher. So what about consuming CBD? Surprisingly, studies reveal that CBD may possess antibiotic properties. According to Newsweek, Australian scientists discovered that cannabidiol effectively killed several strains of bacteria, including those resistant to traditional antibiotics. The findings are intriguing, but there's still a long road ahead before it's determined that CBD can fully replace antibiotics. A senior research chemist at the Center for Superbug Solutions, Mark Blaskovic, remains cautious about these findings, telling Newsweek, "We still don't understand how it works, and it may have a distinct mode of action against bacteria resistant to other antibiotics, but we just don't know yet." Blaskovic adds that so far, research has only demonstrated its effectiveness on skin surfaces. We need to prove it can treat systemic infections such as pneumonia or complicated tissue infections that require oral or IV dosing. Unfortunately, early studies have yet to show promising results in these more challenging scenarios. So, should you use cannabis while you're on antibiotics? Here's the answer. According to Rycroft, there is little to worry about when it comes to mixing cannabis and antibiotics, although some individuals may feel heightened side effects from the medication. The Medicinal Cannabis Resource Center Incorporated has patients who use both, and they do not advise stopping their cannabis consumption. It's up to the individual, though, to determine if they want to mix, and consulting their medical professional is always a safe bet. However, using grapefruit as a benchmark can help determine if there could be a potential conflict with medications. If there's a warning against consuming grapefruit with your antibiotics, it may be best to avoid combining with cannabis. It is evident that the relationship between cannabis and antibiotics is not as severe as one might expect, although some mild interactions have been reported. So, basically, just talk to your doctor. I will tell you, I know firsthand, a lot of doctors just don't know enough about cannabis.
100%.
So they just think of it as a street drug. And you're probably not going to get the answers that you want from your doctor, but you can talk to your pharmacist because some pharmacists are now, so many people consume cannabis and medications that it's a much more common answer or question for them, and they might be the person that could better advise you on whether it's safe or not.
Yeah, good article.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Studies. Terpene levels in cannabis affect patient outcomes. Symptom relief was greatest after consumption of plant variants with slightly higher than average levels of terpenes, of the terpenes myrcene, which is my fave, and tryptophan, and non-detectable levels of CBD, this researcher wrote in High Times. A new study from Research University of New Mexico found that for medical cannabis patients seeking the most effective symptoms of relief, it all comes down to terpenes levels. The research published in the Journal of Cannabis Research found that symptoms relief was greatest after consumption of plant variants with slightly higher than average levels of terpenes, myrcene, and tryptophan, and non-detectable levels of CBD. In contrast, chemivars with the detectable levels of CBD provide the least relief, the fewest positive side effects, and the most negative and context-specific side effects. These findings are consistent with previous research showing that naturally abundant CBD in cannabis flower may act as an inhibitor of optimal treatment for certain health conditions such as gastrointestinal pain, the authors wrote. In their conclusion, they wrote that their findings provide proof of concept that a simple yet comprehensive chemivar indexing systems can be used to identify systematic differences. The study was limited by self-selection in the cannabis app use and the lack of user-specific information. Further research using the chemivar indexing system should assess how distinct combinations of phytochemical interacts with the user level of characteristics to produce general individualized cannabis consumption experiences and health outcomes, ideally using randomized methods to assess differences in the effects across chemivars, they wrote. Terpenes are defined as the primary constituents of essential oils and are responsible for the aroma characteristics of cannabis. Together with cannabinoids, terpenes illustrate synergistic or entourage effects, and their interactions have only been speculated for the last few decades. You can read more about that and published at the National Library of Medicine in 2020. Hundreds of terpenes are identified that allude to cannabis sensory attributes, contributing largely to the consumer's experiences and market price. They also enhance many therapeutic benefits, especially as aromatherapy. Normal noted its own write-up about the study from researchers at the University of New Mexico. Data demonstrates that select terpenes can modulate cannabinoid activity to produce enhanced therapeutic effects. Normal also cited a case report published last year about that an autistic patient responded more favorably to cannabis extract containing select terpenes as compared to extracts without them. Aha. Mm-hmm. So that's participants in the study, University of New Mexico, self-administered the cannabis and reported the results on a software program. So it says here the initial database consists of 252,344 sessions recorded by 13,771 users between June 6th of 2016 to March 11th of 2021. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Our bodies have an endocannabinoid system.
Yeah.
And cannabis helps us with our endocannabinoid system. Tell us a little bit about the production of endocannabinoids.
This is actually very fascinating. People produce endocannabinoids, similar to compounds found in cannabis, that are crucial to many body functions. The authors, so this is kind of written in first person. This is Prakash Nagarkati and Mitzi Nagarkati, and they both received funding from the National Institute of Health. Prakash also had funding from National Science. So this is some research that they did about the endocannabinoid system. Over the past 2 years, a great deal of attention has been given to cannabis, also known as pot or weed. As of early 2023, cannabis has been legalized for recreational use in 21 states and Washington, D.C. And the use of cannabis for medical purpose has grown significantly during the last 20 years or so. But few people know that the human body naturally produces chemicals that are very similar to delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the psychoactive component in weed, which comes from the cannabis sativa plant. These substances are called endocannabinoids, and they're found across all vertebrate species. Evolutionarily, the appearance of endocannabinoids in vertebrate animals predates that of cannabis sativa by about just 575 million years. That's all. It is as if the human body has its own version of a cannabis seedling inside, constantly producing small amounts of endocannabinoids. The similarity of endocannabinoids to THC and their importance in maintaining human health have raised significant interest among scientists to further study their role in health and disease and potentially use them as therapeutic targets to treat human disease. THC was first identified in 1964 and is just one of more than 100 compounds found in cannabis that are called cannabinoids. Endocannabinoids were not discovered until 1992. Since then, research has revealed that they are critical for many important physiological functions that regulate human health. An imbalance in the production of endocannabinoids or in the body's responsiveness to them can lead to major clinical disorders, including obesity, as well as neurodegenerative, cardiovascular, and inflammatory diseases. We are immunologists who have been studying the effects of cannabis, cannabinoids, and vertebrate endocannabinoids on inflammation and cancer for more than 2 decades. Research in our laboratory has shown that endocannabinoids regulate inflammation and other immune functions. So, what exactly is the endocannabinoid system? Well, it's a variety of tissues in the body, including your brain, muscle, fatty tissue, and immune cells, which produce small quantities of endocannabinoids. There are 2 main types of endocannabinoids, the anandamide, or AEA, and 2 arachidinoyl, glycerol, known as 2-AG. So AEA and 2-AG. Both of them can activate the body's cannabinoid receptors, which receive and process chemical signals in cells. One of these receptors, called CB1, is found predominantly in the brain. The other, called CB2, is found mainly in immune cells. It is primarily, though, the activation of these 2 receptors that endocannabinoids control many bodily functions. It is primarily through, did I say that?
Twice.
Whee!
See, I'm paying attention,
yeah,
right?
You are, right. Okay. CB1, CB2, immune cells in the brain, right? And it is primarily through the activation of those 2 receptors that endocannabinoids control many bodily functions. The receptors can be compared to a lock, and the endocannabinoids a key that can open the lock and gain entry into the cells. All of these endocannabinoid receptors and molecules together are referred to as the endocannabinoid system. The cannabis plant contains another compound called cannabidiol, or CBD, which has become popular for medicinal properties. Unlike THC, CBD doesn't have psychoactive properties because it does not activate, this is important, it does not activate your CB1 receptors in your brain, nor does it activate CB2 receptors. Okay, so this is not good. The CBD is not going to wake up your endocannabinoid system or interact with it, meaning the action on immune cells is independent of CB2 receptors. The euphoric high feeling that people experience when using weed comes from THC, activating the CB1 receptors in the brain. See, you need that. It's magic.
Angels.
Mm-hmm. But when endocannabinoids activate CB1 receptors by comparison, they do not cause a high feeling. One reason is that the body produces them in smaller quantities than the typical amount of THC in cannabis. The other is that certain enzymes break them down rapidly after they carry out their cellular functions. So this is why our own body, although we have an endocannabinoid system, we don't walk around feeling high all the time, right? That'd be pretty weird. However, there is growing evidence that certain activities may release mood-elevating endocannabinoids. Some research suggests that the relaxed, euphoric feeling you get after exercise, called a runner's high, actually results from the release of endocannabinoids rather than endorphins, as previously thought.
That was a good one.
Yeah. The endocannabinoids regulate several body functions like sleep, mood, appetite, learning, memory, body temperature, pain, immune functions, and fertility. They control some of these functions by regulating nerve cell signaling in the brain.
The midichlorians in your body, everybody.
Ooh. Normally, nerve cells communicate with one another at junctions called synapses. The endocannabinoid system in the brain regulates the communication at synapses, which explains its ability to affect a wide array of bodily functions. Like, I can't talk, I can't see so good. I need some munchies. All right. Research in our laboratory has shown that certain cells of the immune system produce endocannabinoids that can regulate inflammation and other immune functions through the activation of CB2 receptors. This is big. Get ready. In addition, we have shown that endocannabinoids are highly effective in lessening the debilitating effects of autoimmune diseases. Boo! I mean, that's huge. There are diseases in which the immune system goes haywire and starts destroying the body's organs and tissue. Examples include MS, lupus, hepatitis, and arthritis. Recent research suggests that migraines, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder, and bipolar disease are all linked to low levels of endocannabinoids. So, like you could have a hormonal imbalance, you can have an endocannabinoid imbalance or a low level. And cannabis can help increase it. So then all these things work. There's the medicine. Very cool. In a 2022 study, researchers found that a defect in a gene that helps produce endocannabinoids causes early onset of Parkinson's disease. Another 2022 study linked the same gene defect to other neurological disorders, including developmental delay, poor muscle control, and vision problems. Other research has shown that people with a defective form of CB1 receptors experience increased pain sensitivity, such as migraine headaches, and suffer from sleep and memory disorders and anxiety. Crazy. We believe that the medicinal properties of THC may be linked to the molecule's ability to compensate for a deficiency or defect in the production or functions of endocannabinoids. For example, scientists have found that people who experience certain types of chronic pain may have decreased production of endocannabinoids. People who consume cannabis for medicinal purposes report significant relief from pain because the THC in weed is the cannabinoid that reduces pain. It may be helping to compensate for the decreased production or function of endocannabinoids in such patients. Crazy.
It's awesome.
Deciphering the role of endocannabinoids is still an emerging area of health research. Certainly, much more research is needed to decipher their role in regulating different functions in the body. In our view, it will also be important to continue to unravel the relationship between defects in your endocannabinoid system and the developments of various diseases and clinical disorders. We think that the answers could hold great promise for the development of new therapies using your body's own cannabinoids.
Pretty dope.
Sweet.
We're moving along now. Virginia in weed purgatory as lawmakers refuse action. Here's all I got to say, Virginia. If it's great that people can home grow. It's great that you're decriminalizing it. Just free it. Forget about companies coming in there and ruin it. Let people just home grow and give caregiver programs and let people grow out of their homes and make some money. Be smart, Virginia. You could be different. Not only being the first state in the South to decriminalize it, free it a little bit, free it all. North Carolina Senate Judicial Committee approved the bill to legalize medical cannabis. Cool. The South Carolina Senate Medical Affairs Committee advanced legislation to legalize medical cannabis. Yay. Medical cannabis is one of the biggest cash crops in Utah. Whoa. Washington Senate passing bill banning hiring discrimination for pot use. That's awesome, Washington. Arizona spent more than $1.4 billion on cannabis in 2022, driven by recreational sales. Yeah, because the med program is just falling apart. Iowa House Democrats proposed to legalize cannabis. I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner. New poll shows 2/3 of Republican voters support legalizing cannabis. Pshee. More than 8 million seized in illegal New York City pot shop crackdowns. That's the unlicensed cannabis sellers. So, outlook in 2023. They're saying possibly Massachusetts cannabis market bottoming out. That's going to happen everywhere eventually. Mrs. Wee Man, I want the perfect high. Teach me the perfect high, Mrs. Weed Man.
Oh, my.
Thanks.
Feisty. Well, okay. Everything you need to know to get the perfect cannabis high, Mr. Weed Man.
How'd it go?
Mr. Weed Man.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
You want
about.
to get high? Well, finding the right balance when using cannabis can be tricky for regular smokers and beginners. We know. With flower becoming more potent and concentrate substances like oil and wax growing in popularity, finding the perfect cannabis high takes patience and practice. While a high tolerance user might require a large amount of flower to catch a buzz, it's easy for anyone to overindulge in edibles and extracts. That'd be us. Below, or within this article, they've created the ultimate guide to finding your ideal cannabis high. Regardless of your THC tolerance level or preferred ingestion method, you can dial in your experience with these helpful tips. So, tip number 1. Tips for flower users. Although THC content in flower has increased, there are ways to pace yourself and specific strains to pick to achieve your desired feelings. Small pipes like spoons and chillums are a great way to start smoking. Hits are more manageable for beginners, and they won't be as concentrated as bongs or bubble tokes. Strains will also play a large role in having mind and body effects. Newcomers should gravitate toward lower THC content strains like Blue Dream or Jack Herer, with THC percentages typically in the teens. If your tolerance is low, stick with pipes and take 1 or 2 hits every 10 to 15 minutes, allowing plenty of time to feel the effects in between and moderate your experience.
That's why you like the steamroller.
Yeah.
Because you can moderate how much you take in.
Avid smokers pay close attention to THC content, and top shelf options are now pushing 30%. Look for classics like Kosher Kush and Girl Scout cookies when in the market for potent plant material, and grab the bong for instant intoxication. Sativa-dominant strains like Durban Poison will sub in well for your morning cup of coffee, providing an uplifting, energetic high. Indica-dominant varieties are best suited for evening use. Kosher Kush and Death Star are famous indicas that provide heavy sedation effects and relaxed body highs. All right, finding the perfect edible high. The edible market is growing faster than any other industry segment, but proper consumption of these products remains extremely misunderstood by most of the public, even us. Well, it wasn't really misunderstood. We just had way too much. We knew what we were doing.
Yeah, we did.
When cannabis is consumed by smoking or vaping, the cannabinoids act directly with receptors in your brain to create instantaneous results. Edibles must be digested and processed by your liver, taking much longer to kick in and often lasting longer than other methods of intake. Newcomers to THC and edibles will want to take a cautious approach, like we already talked about, so I'm not going to go on and on about this, but starting doses, figure like 2.5 milligrams. Maybe you're a semi-experienced beginner. Then you're moving it up to 5 milligrams. I think you can stay at 5. Most people can stay at 5 milligrams for a long time, for a microdose and, getting through your days. Eating fatty foods about an hour before an edible helps speed up your digestive process and will provide cannabinoids more surfaces on which to bond. Most pre-made edibles contain about 10 milligrams of THC per item. That is a store-bought, not necessarily a home-baked item, right? And that can also differ in different states that have higher THC quantities.
Absolutely.
Taking edibles on an empty stomach will significantly delay results, so plan consumption around your meal. If common edibles aren't enough, consider extract capsules for the most potent and discreet option. These capsules are similar to gel cap pills and deliver enormous amounts of THC in a small package. Tips on coming down from a cannabis high. Almost every consumer of weed has a story of a time they used way too much. Luckily, this is very relatable.
That's why I gave you this article.
Luckily, these stories typically end with long naps, and it's important to remember that although you feel way too high, you're not in any real danger. There's also quick and easy ways to mellow out the experience if you've gone too far. CBD tinctures and vape products. Now, last week, on our last episode, we read a very new, fresh piece of research has found that this whole theory of you've had too much THC, have some CBD, and it'll counteract the THC, the psychotropic effect, and it'll calm your mind. Right? Well, now this study that we read last week said
was about
not edibles.
Right.
So if you have eaten an edible or smoked too much CBD or THC and you ingest CBD, so now you eat a CBD straight edible, it could actually increase the THC. So I think that because that article was so fresh in my brain when we ate the popcorn the other night, I was like, oh, I don't even know about CBD. I can't even think about that. I
didn't want nothing.
I just didn't want
care.
anything.
I was going to write it out.
Right.
And here's the thing. Don't forget those levels of CBD that they put in that testing was like 640 milligrams. That's a lot. So, so it could.
It might not be super. It's one study.
We've also read and researched that if you take too much CBD, it can give you psychoactive, just like regular THC. Right. If you overdo
if you have a ton of it.
640 milligrams might be at 500 milligrams, maybe 100 milligrams might be someone's threshold on where it gets them to that psychoactive effect. So we did read that on prior episodes too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to learn.
This may or may not be effective. If you've had an edible, maybe smoke a CBD.
Yes, I would try that.
Joint.
Yeah.
Or a vape, but don't have another edible, a CBD edible.
Right.
Until we know more about that.
Yep.
But they're saying a couple drops under your tongue does the job. I'm going to skip the rest of that little tip. Because it's a new article, but the other research was even more fresh.
And if you want to be the one to test it out for us, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm going to smoke CBD instead, out of either through a vape or a flower.
Other ways to come down a bit more that are a bit more traditional and effective is eating a large meal. It'll often dull the effect of your THC and help you feel more like yourself. Take a shower, go
Sugar
swimming.
always helps me. Mm-hmm. Sugar always helps me.
Water can intensify effects at times, but most users feel back to normal upon exit from water. Physical activity will help you take your mind off the impact, and working up a sweat is almost guaranteed to bring you down.
Run out naked and jump in the snow.
Well,
you'll be just fine.
With so many products to choose from, some experimentation and trial and error will be required. Thoroughly research strains and their effects before buying and using them, and start low, go slow.
There it is.
Some practice, you will find the perfect high every time you toke.
I'm still laughing about that edible weekend we had. International news: Uruguay working toward cannabis tourist industry to fight the black market. I don't understand that so much, because if you bring more tourism, it's going to be hard to get rid of the traditional market, because there are going to be more people to sell to on the streets if they wanted to. I don't know. For cannabis tourism, you got to have more dispensaries and more maybe do smoking clubs and all that kind of stuff where people can pay $10 and get weed all day while they're going in and out. I don't know. It sounds like a good idea, but I don't know. Argentina hemp law expected to widen domestic and export markets. Yay. This one. Cannabis measures in the Philippines supports immediate approval of medicinal cannabis measures pending in both chambers of Congress. This move will help dissuade the spread of illegal hemp. However, lawmakers must ensure the provisions for the medical cannabis measures should be favorable to the farmers. Absolutely. Italy, hemp is not a narcotic. So you go to Hong Kong, and CBD is a narcotic. You go to Italy, you drink a good glass of wine, and you get to smoke some hemp and have a nice time. Good for you, Italy. Australia, nurses will educate on medical cannabis. A newly formed group in Australia seeks to offer nurses medicinal cannabis education, advocacy, and support according to cannabis culture. Good for that. The Australian Cannabis Nurses Association will be led by Simone O'Brien, a nurse practitioner, medical cannabis prescriber, along with co-founders Deb Ranson and Jody Davis. Sweet. Spain debates cannabis regulations. Spain's plenary of Congress of Deputies is debating the proposal for laws of Esquerra Republicana to regulate the therapeutic and recreational use of cannabis in a European country, reported ICBC. The measure seeks to decriminalize cannabis and consider it medicine. Yes. Why even consider it? It is. That can be accessed with prescriptions, reported to ICBC International. If the legalization is enacted, users would be able to consume pot outdoors and on private property, instead of just going to smoking clubs. Sweet. Additionally, the measures would permit the cultivation of up to 6 plants within an adult residence. Hell yeah. With the report limit of producing up to 480 grams per year, certain funds would be earmarked for resources to combat addiction and to increase the awareness of negative effects of cannabis. Hell yeah, Spain. Home grow, baby. Home grow. Cannabis legalization in Mexico is complicated. Cartels and farmers poised to capitalize when inevitable happens. Cannabis is still illegal in Mexico. though not entirely, especially after the Mexican Supreme Court declared prohibition unconstitutional and the country's Congress seems to be hell-bent on passing a full legalization law that could establish the legal means to grow, sell, and possess for adults. That said, the farmers and the cartels are positioning themselves to be ready when the inevitable happens. Yes, you're freeing the plant. Cartels can finally get out of the illegal business and go into the legal business and do what they've always wanted to do and sell cannabis legally. So, yeah, of course. So, it should be interesting what happens there. There's more to this, but time to move on. I'm pretty feeling good right now. Shark Tank, right? We like that show. Friday nights, pizza.
Mm-hmm. Pizza on Shark Tank.
Pizza and Shark Tank and then beer. We've been doing that for I can't even tell.
Minute.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while. Yeah. So Shark Tank, and then you go
really
into
exciting.
Yeah, then you go into your show that you watch, and I go down and game.
Well, or in our defense, that could be done by like 8:00, and we still go out.
Yeah, that's true too. But
we do watch it a lot.
Yes, we do like Shark Tank a lot. So Kevin Harrington, one of the original people on the Sharks, one of the original Sharks, talks a little bit about cannabis.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep. So Kevin Harrington plans to bring cannabis products to mainstream media, like as seen on TV. This is an article from Benzinga. Famed entrepreneur Kevin Harrington, the original shark on ABC's Shark Tank and creator of the infomercial brand As Seen on TV, has been involved in the cannabis space for a few years now, serving as a strategic advisor and brand ambassador for cannabis holding Canna-curious Partners and its portfolio companies. Harrington, who is personally invested in the company, helps steer the business through the murky waters of the consumer packaged goods category. He is also in charge of identifying potential investment targets, a talent he is famous for. Cannabis is a growing industry. It's very exciting for an investor and for an entrepreneur like myself, Harrington explained during an exclusive conversation. When I look at the whole industry, I see that cannabis is a problem-solving kind of product, and I'm in the business of solving problems, as you know. And he added, I've been involved in pretty much every industry: housewares, hardware, fitness, golf, fishing, toys, beauty, I could keep going. So I think that this has given me a tremendous relationship with manufacturers all over the world. Products need to be manufactured. They need to be engineered, prototyped. All of that is very important to be able to make a good quality product with very low returns and problems, and at the right price so you can make margin and be profitable. Proficiency and scale, he continued, are key elements to commercial success. Bringing up a conversation I had with Harrington a couple of years back, I asked about what he considers to be one of his strongest business abilities: finding customers. I needed some fluid.
That strain did not give me cotton.
I didn't get cotton mouth, but
no, I love it. This strain is probably one of my favorite strains I've smoked in very, very long. And I've loved everything that Big Earl has given us, but this is probably my favorite strain in a long time. Mm-hmm. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. It's nice.
Many of Harrington's ventures relied on traditional media, TV, newspaper ads, infomercials, etc. to get their products in front of people. But cannabis cannot, for the most part, be advertised in the same way. I wondered how he plans to work around these well-known limitations. Thrilled with the question, he answered unhesitantly. It was clear he'd already given this matter much thought. As we look at the cannabis space, there's blacklisted products for Facebook and Instagram. So we actually have now also invested in an ad network that is for blacklisted products, he said. This has been a big challenge for many companies. Fortunately, the shark likes a good challenge. When prompted about cannabis products being sold on As Seen on TV style shows, the entrepreneur once again jumped at the query, explaining hemp products are already being sold that way. I do believe that at some point more and more kinds of cannabis products will eventually find their way into mainstream media, he voiced. As we start doing some of these blacklisted exchanges and things like this, we're going to be breaking some new ground, and it may open the eyes of some of the others who are out there. And as more states recreationalize the laws, I believe the federal situation is going to change also. So I just think that it's the people that get in on the ground floor now that are forming the relationships and the distribution networks. This is a chance for us to do some learning and connecting and planting a lot of seeds. And yes, we will build something, a business, and make money along the way. So it'll be interesting. I don't know anything about that blacklist sites. I have heard of a couple new social media platforms where people are advertising cannabis.
Right.
So maybe there's things that's already in the works.
We'll see. The more people support it, the more it'll get stomp that stigma, right? I mean, he's a big
The big
name.
problem is that an ad airs across the whole U.S. and
Right.
not every U.S. state has legal cannabis.
Right. True.
So they can't. That's the biggest dilemma.
Right. Do it in the states that allow it. You know.
Yeah, they can control that, can't they?
Yeah, they could.
And
they
only
get paid. They
advertise.
get paid for
You
in
pay
different. You
per
can pay.
state,
You pay in different markets. You don't even
Right.
have to do out the whole
Yeah,
state.
you do a market, right?
You want to just do big markets, and you could do every city on the West Coast if you want to do major city or something like that. If you want to do smaller markets, you do whatever. It's up to you. Where
And
you
then it comes down to the federal regulation.
right where you spend your money at, you know,
Right.
and how you want to do it. So, wow, I thought we were going to go long. It's pretty good.
We kept it.
Kept it where we
Good
wanted
time.
to. Yeah. Sorry for the long-winded
We try to keep our
story.
show around an hour.
Yeah, we do pretty
we know
well.
people are busy.
Yep, we know it. So, got anything else to say, Mrs. Weed Mine?
We are so happy that we got another show together.
Yeah,
We're so happy that
I did this show on Sunday night, like around 7:00, miserable.
Oh, like putting all the articles together.
Putting
and
everything
stuff,
together, putting the show format together, reading everything I wanted to talk about, and I mean, I was miserable doing it though. I'm not gonna lie, everybody, fucking miserable. It's my fifth F-bomb of the show. Not bad.
Not bad. I've had my moments too. Or I get into the like. I say like every other word.
Oh
right.
man,
We're not scripted. We're just
we just do it.
Just
we
talking.
just are who we are, right?
That's right.
But you were saying something.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Just
All right.
that another great show.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are enjoying it.
Oh, Yuki got her stitches out.
Yuki got her stitches
She's
out.
able to play.
She's a wild woman
Miserable
again.
10 days with that dog because all that
She just
poor
wanted
dog
to
wanted to do
play.
was play. But her stitches out. We played today for about 15 minutes, so she was happy. Not too crazy, but it's only the first day.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Yuki's all good. Thanks for reaching out, everybody that asked about it. Appreciate you. But that's it, everybody out there in the world. We love you. Be kind to one another. Show some love. Show some peace. Shake some hands. Give some hugs. I don't know. Share some joints. Something, man. Just phew.
Be good. Be
Just
good. Stay well.
Help one another. Yeah, stay well, stay healthy. Beautiful day here in Chicago again. Everybody out there in the world, we love you. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.